Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers March Sadness Tournament, Sweet 16. After 2 rounds of matchups, we've reached the Sweet 16 of our Steelers March Sadness Tournament. The 64 worst moments in Pittsburgh Steelers history continue to face off until we choose a champion. Only one moment from the dynasty era remains on the board. Let's get to the games. With 4:08 left in the fourth quarter, trailing 20-17, Pittsburgh still had a chance for a miracle comeback. On second down from their own 32-yard line, Neil O'Donnell threw his second and most fatal interception to Larry Brown. 2 plays later, Emmitt Smith scored to make the score 27-17. The Steelers cut the lead to 28-25 with just over 7 minutes left in the game. Green Bay then found themselves facing a 3rd and 10. Ike Taylor was covering Greg Jennings, but Jennings was a step quicker. Aaron Rodgers completed the pass for 31 yards. Green Bay would ultimately extend the lead to 31-25. Despite being heavily favored and dominating time of possession, Pittsburgh was only leading 13-10 at the start of the fourth quarter. With 5:13 left in the game, trailing 16-13, San Diego faced a 3rd and 14 from the Pittsburgh 43. Instead of going for the first down, Stan Humphries went for it all, finding Tony Martin a step ahead of Tim McKyer in the end zone to take the lead for the first time. Ben Roethlisberger had another chance to play the Super Bowl hero. Trailing 31-25 with 56 seconds left, Pittsburgh faced a 4th and 5. Big Ben couldn't keep the drive and the dream alive, with the pass to Mike Wallace falling incomplete. Pittsburgh was trailing 21-17 at the start of the fourth quarter, but momentum was on their side. The Steelers were facing a 2nd and 2 at the Green Bay 33 when they handed the ball off to Rashard Mendenhall. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage by Clay Matthews and Ryan Pickett, separating the ball from his body, which was then recovered by the Packers. On Pittsburgh's first snap from scrimmage, Maurkice Pouncey snapped the ball over Ben Roethlisberger's head, and Cleveland recovered in the end zone. Denver was trailing 23-17 with 7 minutes left in the game, when John Elway captained a 9-play, 71-yard comeback drive. It all came down to 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line where Mel Bratton dove in for the game-winning score. Pittsburgh was trailing Dallas 13-7 in the third quarter, but was in a position to turn the tide. The Steelers had strung together a pair of first downs and were facing a 3rd and 9 at their own 48. Neil O'Donnell was apparently looking for Ernie Mills, but there were no players near the ball, except for Larry Brown, who intercepted the pass and returned it to the 18-yard line. A sea of green at Acrisure Stadium. The luck of the Irish was in full effect when the Ireland Funds Pittsburgh Gala was held at Acrisure Stadium on Wednesday evening. The night kicked off with Irish entertainment and a feeling of being on the Emerald Isle, with a wee bit of football as well. There were special guests on hand, including Geraldine Byrne-Mason, the ambassador of Ireland to the United States, and Jarlath Burns, the president of the Gaelic Athletic Association, GAA, and Katrina Fottrell, the president and CEO of the Ireland Funds. "We have some very distinguished guests who were on hand," said Steelers president Art Rooney II, who has spearheaded a lot of the Pittsburgh dinner after his father's passing. "It's great to see people from Ireland supporting the Pittsburgh event. It made it a very special night to have them attend." The GAA team also came through our offices and facilities for a tour. "They have been a great partner for what we are trying to do in Ireland. It was a time to celebrate and honor those who are impacting the Pittsburgh region, in the business sector and within the community, in a manner that is befitting with the tradition and values of the Ireland Funds. It's great to carry on the tradition of the Ireland Funds," said Rooney. "We're fortunate to have so many other people in the community who have been willing to be a part of committees and support the event. It's great to see it continue. We are fortunate this year to have some great awardees." The awardees Rooney referred to include Bill Demchak, the chairman and CEO of the PNC Financial Services Group, and Charlie Batch and Latasha Wilson Batch, who founded and run the Best of the Batch Foundation, and are staples in the Pittsburgh region who have been making a difference for years. Demchak received the 2024 Daniel M. Rooney Ambassadors Award, presented to an individual who reflects Ambassador Rooney's leadership, love of Pittsburgh and contribution to the community. Demchak, a top leader at PNC for more than a decade, has evolved PNC into a national banking powerhouse and has had a major impact across the community. He also sees the importance of giving back to Pittsburgh in a charitable fashion, along with his wife Debbie. The couple funds a scholarship program through the Pittsburgh Promise to get more Black educators into the Pittsburgh public school system. He is also on the board of directors of the Extra Mile Education Foundation, the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, and the Allegheny Conference on Community Development, among others. Bill has done great work at PNC, one of our most successful companies for sure, said Rooney. Steelers send QB coach to scout late-round quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers have made some big changes at the quarterback position this offseason. They let Mitch Trubisky go as part of their first round of cuts for the year. Mason Rudolph left to be the backup for the Tennessee Titans. They traded Kenny Pickett to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Steelers will have no QBs returning from last year's roster, but they've done a pretty good job of replacing them. They signed Russell Wilson to be their starter and then traded for Justin Fields as a solid insurance plan. That still leaves them with one spot on the depth chart to fill at the position. Last year the spot was occupied by a veteran, but with so much veteran talent on the depth chart it seems the Steelers could be looking to fill that last spot with a rookie. They're already taking a look at one prospect at the position who should be available late in this year's NFL Draft. According to Senior Bowl Executive Director Jim Nagy, the Steelers sent their QB coach to scout South Alabama quarterback Carter Bradley at his pro day. It took a while for Bradley's college football career to really get started. He began at Toledo, but didn't ever take over as their starting QB. In 4 seasons with the Rockets, Bradley never threw for 1,000 yards, and the most pass attempts he registered in a single season was 130. That led him to transfer to South Alabama for his 5th year. He made an immediate impact for the Jaguars. In his first season at South Alabama, he threw for 3,335 yards and 28 touchdowns, while leading the Jaguars to a 10-3 record and a spot in the New Orleans Bowl. They had only won 5 games the year before his arrival. His second season at South Alabama was another solid one. He brought his completion percentage up to 67.8% and threw 5 less interceptions, while leading the team to another appearance in a bowl game. Bradley wasn't one of the players invited to the NFL Combine, but he impressed at his pro day. He showed off plenty of athleticism and arm strength. That, along with his size, should make him an interesting option for a team looking to grab a QB they can try to develop late in the draft. The Steelers are one of those teams that should be looking at QB options late in the draft who they think could have some potential. Right now, they're set for the 2024 season. They have not one, but 2 players that could start for them at QB and be an improvement over what they got out of the position in 2023. It's after 2024 where things get a bit murky. Wilson is on a 1-year deal, and there has already been a report that the team isn't expected to pick up Fields' 5th-year option, which means he is also only locked in for 2024. The team will likely extend one of them, but definitely not both. That means that at best they'll still be looking for a backup next year. If things don't go well this year, they could be looking for a whole new set of QBs. The odds of finding a viable QB late in the draft are slim, but it seems to be happening more recently. There's obviously the huge outlier in Brock Purdy. However, he's not the only one. The Commanders got Sam Howell in the 5th round 2 years ago, and he just threw for almost 4,000 yards in his second season. Tyson Bagent was undrafted and won the backup job in Chicago as a rookie. Mike White has carved out a nice career for himself as a backup after being taken in round 5. Gardner Minshew was a fifth-rounder and just signed a nice contract to start for the Raiders. However 2024 plays out for the Steelers, they're going to need options for their future at QB. They might not find their answer at the back end of the draft, but they should at least take a shot at it and give themselves a chance to avoid repeating the mess they've been in the last 2 seasons. They don't necessarily have to start with Bradley, but they should definitely start looking at options for their future late in this draft. At worst, they waste a late-round pick that is essentially a dart throw anyway. If it works out, maybe they find somebody that could compete for their starting job in the future or a dependable backup they keep around for a while. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation Carter Bradley? Leave your opinion in the comments.